stories that are both a delight to read and to hear. The Fishing Derby. This story isn't really about Mac, Jake, or Harry. It isn't even about a scary snake that's hairy. It's not even about the dog, the duck, or even the cat. It's not about any of that. In the end, it's just about fishing with your friends. It's about sharing a clever story together. As expected, this story rhymes quite a lot, and every single word is true, except for the parts that are not. Our town is well known for orange marmalade, sweet lemonade, and some other stuff that's all homemade. The people aren't different from almost every other town, but there's just nothing very special around. No mountains for climbing to the top, and we don't have a town mall or even lots of small shops. There's not much here to make anyone stop. All the big city folks say our town is just quaint, and most of the buildings could use some new paint. But our hotel fills up, and the campsites too. There's a lot more people than just a few. There's one thing we all know. Some people like to visit our town just because it's so slow. No one's rushing to grab a train or late for work again. Almost every day here is simply slowed down. That's the way it is at our town, except for 1 week each year when the world's best fishermen all come here. They load up their trucks with supplies and gas for a chance at the biggest big-mouth bass. The roads get clogged and it's quite a traffic mess. It's the same every year, more or less. Our fishing derby is a worldwide winner, the best contest for all those reels and spinners. They come here from everywhere just to fish, and no one asks why. With polished fishing rods and reels, the best money can buy, they may not even catch any fish, but still they all try. Mac, Harry, and Jake got up very early to fish on the lake. They all seemed half asleep or maybe just half awake. The three are very best friends, so they say. They hired a rowboat to fish the whole day. What it was about Jake on this morning, I really don't know. His buttons weren't buttoned all straight in a row. Sometimes the woods make him queasy and his stomach uneasy. Jake had a late night and now an early morning. How he was feeling was kind of a warning. All the night he was wheezing and even was sneezing. Tents don't have thick walls. With that noise, even Mac and Harry didn't sleep much at all. Harry climbed down from the truck and tripped over Mac. Mac was just tying his laces when Harry gave him a smack. "What was that for?" Mac grumbled at Harry. "Was that really absolutely necessary?" Harry replied, "If you park yourself right in my way." Mac just said, "Hey, I'm in no mood today for your silly horseplay." Jake interrupted. "Come on, you guys. Should we get the boat into the water or not even bother? I'm so tired I can't see straight. Are you sure the fishing is really so great?" "Yes, absolutely," exclaimed Mac. "I heard of this lake from Billy Bob Jack. He and his brother Bart, they always catch fish near the deepest part. That's also where they see Old Spotted Sam, the biggest and ugliest fish that ever swam." "I've heard of that fish," said Harry. "They've been trying to catch him for 20 years, but he always gets away. There'll be plenty of fishermen trying to catch him today." "That's true," said Mac. "There's a special prize for the one who catches Old Sam, and I've heard he especially likes worms covered in marmalade jam." Jake interrupted again. "Are you two finished? Help me with the boat. It's stuck. I don't know about catching any fish with jam, but let's try our luck." Dwight Dingle looks just like a fisherman, there is no doubt. It doesn't matter to him if it's salmon, bass, or trout. He wears the fishing hat with the hooks of all kinds, those hip wader rubber boots, and a spinning reel to wind. On his jacket there's a Boy Scout Master Fisherman badge. His fishing pole is named Madge. There are other things most odd about Dwight. One jacket sleeve is too short and doesn't fit right. He says it helps to catch fish whenever they bite. Dwight scares all the fish half a mile away with his loud snoring during the middle of the day. He doesn't really fish, but sleeps instead and only baits hooks with gingerbread. Still, Dwight prefers the fishing derby since it's better than being at home. He likes just sitting down by the lake and being left completely alone. Mrs. Dingle says, I can think of lots of other things he should be doing instead. He should be washing the windows, mowing the lawn, weeding the garden, and trimming the hedge. Dwight knows that it's much better to be fishing down by the water's edge. On the other side of the lake you could see Bernard Doubleday. He catches fish in a somewhat different way. He's the best fisherman you'll ever find, but Bernard is also completely blind. At fishing, Bernard is unimpaired and has a great helper, so he's equally prepared. Bernard is always fishing with Kate, his daughter. She's the fastest at putting his hooks in the water. Kate always knew just what to do. Even when only 4 years old, she baited all the hooks with old cheese molds. The fish would always bite. They must be doing something right. Bernard doesn't even get wet, but always wins a prize at fishing contests. He has a bell at the end of his rod. This really isn't so strange or too odd. According to Kate, it jingles whenever a fish takes the bait. She comes running to net any fish. It's all over with a quick splash and a swish. I was down at the end of the lake and was startled by a red and green snake, exclaimed Larry Blake. Larry had a fish on his hook and was reeling it in to take a good look when he dropped his fishing rod and just ran. If snakes don't stop you, what can? He complained. I certainly caught the biggest fish of the day, but that snake helped my fish get away. It's a shame there's no picture to prove what he claims. Larry insisted. That snake was also mean and hairy. Each time Larry told his fishy story, the snake grew more and more. It even had wings and a lion's roar. A gray cloud sat above the lake's small cove just by the red cedar grove. It stayed there for most of the day and just kept raining down that way. Sitting in a small rowboat under the weather was Charlie Alistair Merriweather. It seemed only to rain on him the whole day long. His weather was grim. Charlie rowed his boat to move away, but wherever he'd stop, the gray cloud would stay. Charlie got wet, then wetter still. It never stopped raining, and he got a chill. Everywhere else on the lake, the sun was shining bright, but not a single fish near to poor Charlie would bite. Emile was sure that his fishing wouldn't be poor. He just couldn't wait to start using his new lucky lure. But when the line kept tugging, it wasn't quite right. There wasn't even one real fish bite. He first caught an old rubber boot and then a basket made for fruit. He landed a truck steering wheel. There are no fish, exclaimed Emile. He didn't know what was wrong. He fished odd stuff all day long, like a spring that still springs and a bell that still dings, a brass rose and a doll without toes. What looked like a garden gnome for holding a hairbrush and comb, a front door handle and a half-burned candle, a desk drawer and small sign from a store, some bottles and cans, a few dozen or more, and even a teacup glued onto a tray, but not a single fish all day. The Butler boys and Harvey Hicks, they know all the best fishing tricks. They sometimes fish with Ginger, their cat. She bats at the water and knows where they're at. When their sleepy dog Scamp smells one, he starts to moan and can find a fish better than he finds a bone. Never left out is Henrietta, their duck. She's just there to bring them all good luck. On their raft where the fishing is best, they've saved some great lures to help win the contest. They know where there's lots of fish to catch, and for even fishing lures they know of a special patch. There's an old spring bed at the bottom of the lake. The best fisherman lures and lines it takes. It snags up hooks and tangles up lines. The Butler boys think that's just fine. They swim to the bottom in the usual way to find the best lures at the end of each day. Those big city fishermen always try their luck against the cat, the dog, and Henrietta the duck. The Butler boys and their friend Hicks, they do their best fishing with just short sticks. With a little help from their friends, they catch more fish than anyone else can and will beat any big city fisherman. Jake was still sneezing and had a sore throat while fishing on the lake way out in their boat. Harry began to tease Jake. "Maybe it's fishing that makes you sneeze." Max said, "Maybe it's not just the woods and the trees." Jake responded, "Please, you're both scaring away my fish. I'm sure that I know just what it is that bothers my nose." Max said, "Whenever I get near pumpkins, my big toe starts to grow." "Thanks for sharing that," said Harry. "I'll tell you something really scary. Whenever I eat junk snacks, my face gets bloated and looks just like Max." "Very funny," said Mac, giving Harry a small whack. "Hey, do I have to separate you two?" Jake asked. "Are you both through? I want some peace and quiet from this boat crew. Is that not something you can do? Maybe it's how you tease each other. That's what makes me sneeze, one sneeze after another." Mac explained, "I put some marmalade jam on your worm and hook. I read that it works from an old fishing book." Jake whined, "Hey, I didn't ask for any on mine." Just then, a fish took Jake's line. Zip, zee, away it went, and Jake yelled, "Whoopee!" Jake held on tight with all his might. The fish was giving him quite a fight. The boat began rocking, then started moving. It was a big, strong one and just kept pulling. All three of the friends were towed down the lake. "It's as big as Mac!" excitedly yelled Jake. "What do you mean by that?" asked Mac. Harry came back. "You eat too many snacks." The boat was being pulled much too fast. "How big is this fish?" Harry asked. "Look out! We're heading for that rock. Watch it! We're getting too close to that dock." Jake yelled back, "It's up to the fish. I can't go where I wish." The three fishermen jumped just as the boat hit an old log stump. In the water, cold and wet, Jake sneezed again and said, "Let's go home and straight to bed. No more fishing. Let's find something else to do instead." Mac exclaimed, "Maybe it was the marmalade jam. I think that fish was old Spotted Sam." With just gingerbread on his fish hooks, thanks to Madge, Dwight Dingle won first prize. His fish was much bigger than last year's size. It was the first time he'd ever won in his life. Dwight took the prize home to his wife. Second prize, went to Bernard Doubleday and his daughter Kate. They caught lots of fish. I think about 8. The Butler boys took third, but their cat Ginger really caught the fish. That's what I heard. Larry Blake won a prize for Best Fishy Tale. That giant flying hairy snake was only a red and green freshwater snail. Old Spotted Sam almost got caught, but got away, which was better than not. Jake, Mac, and Harry came closest yet, but there's no prize for just being all wet. The week went by fast. No more town traffic jam. They should have given a prize to Old Spotted Sam.